Of any aquarium size, I have owned more 20-gallon aquariums than any other in my years in the fish keeping hobby. So let's take a walk through my fish room and find some inspiration for your 20-gallon aquarium. One of my favorite uses for a 20-gallon tank is to set up a Livebearer breeding colony. 20-gallon tanks are a great tank size for many of the small to medium-sized Livebearers like platies, endlers, guppies, some goodyead species, and many others. One of the great things about this setup is you can make it as plain or as ornate as you'd like. It can be completely aquascaped, or you can just have a plain tank with some guppy grass, hornwort, or any other aquarium plant of your choice. It's really up to you. If you're looking for an unheated option, then look into Goodeids. They are a Livebearer that can be kept at room temperature without a heater. But keep in mind that Goodeids are critically endangered and in some cases extinct in the wild in their native Mexico. So be careful to preserve the collection points and avoid unintentional hybrids. Much like the Livebearer setups that we just spoke about, 20-gallon tanks make a great setup for fish such as blue daisies, ricefish. You can set up a spawning mop or have them spawn in plants like guppy grass, hornwort, or any other floating plants. You can even use this type of setup for any of the other mop spawning species such as killifish. If you're looking for an eye-catching 20-gallon tank, having a planted tank with a schooling tetra, like cardinal tetras or neon tetras, will definitely be a winner. These colorful fish will catch the eye of anyone who comes into your living room or your fish room. You could also do this setup with rasboras, ember tetras, or any other small schooling fish. For the bottom side of this tank, you could add some cherry shrimp, a bristlenose pleco, or even a school of smaller Corydoras catfish. You could also take this to the next level by adding some pseudo-McGill rainbow fish to the upper level of this tank. These fish are rather expensive, but do make a great addition to this tank. Just keep in mind that rainbow fish are jumpers, so having a lid is essential. If you're more into the African cichlid side, you could do some of the smaller shell-dwelling species like Neolamprologus similis, Neolamprologus multifasciatus, or any of the other smaller shell-dwelling species. Just make sure they have a sandy substrate and plenty of shells so all the fish have a place to hide. These fish are always fun to watch, moving the substrate around and rearranging their shells. It's like a miniature city. Given how these fish breed, I would be prepared for a place to get rid of the fry so that you can keep the numbers at a manageable level. But shell dwellers are some of my favorite African cichlids and even some of my favorite fish in the hobby. Staying with Lake Tanganyika, you could also do a rock-dwelling species. Right now, we're looking at my Neolamprologus burchardi daffodil, or daffodil burchardi. These fish like to dart in and out of the rocks, and like the shell dwellers, produce at a rapid rate. You'll definitely need to be prepared to deal with a lot of fry. But setting up this tank with a sandy substrate and plenty of rock work, and you'll have a tank that you can enjoy watching the fish dart in and out of the rock work. You could also do this setup with Julidochroma species as well. 20-gallon tanks are also great for wild-type bettas. You can make this a planted tank with plenty of hiding spots and a lid to make sure the bettas don't jump out. You could keep pairs of many different betta species, like these Betta edithae that you see here. This paternal mouth-breeding betta hails from Indonesia, where it can be found in shaded swamps and blackwater areas. However, these fish are very tolerant of a wide variety of water parameters as long as it's kept clean. If you do choose to go with another betta species, I would definitely make sure to research that species to make sure it works in your 20-gallon aquarium and that you provide it with the proper setup. 20-gallon tanks are also great for breeding smaller cichlid species like Apistogrammas or Crebensis. There's a wide variety of both Apistogramma and Crebensis species that you can choose from, so you should have no trouble finding one that suits you. Both of these species come from softer water, while the Crebensis come from the Congo area of Africa and the Apistos come from South America. Both of these species will spawn in a cave and are considered easy to breed. If you're looking for a challenge though, you could do German blue rams. Just raise the temperature to 82 degrees and add some flat stones in place of some of the spawning caves. Just provide these fish with a spawning cave, plenty of cover, the proper water conditions, and you have yourself the makings of a great breeding project. No discussion on a 20-gallon tank would be complete without talking about making a clownfish breeding setup. I have used 20-gallon highs in my clownfish breeding setups for years. Just paint the sides and back black. You can either run them bare bottom or with a sand substrate and provide them with a pot or tile to spawn on. At that point, it just becomes a matter of patience, proper husbandry, and proper diet. If you provide the fish with these things, you will be rewarded with fry. It just may take some time. 20-gallon tanks are also great for other saltwater breeding projects like Bengai cardinals or dotty backs. Just research your particular species to make sure you're providing the proper setup.